Hello and welcome to part 3 of the CVED cardiovascular training. We're going to explore what it means to have a true preventative approach and how an ounce of prevention really is worth a pound to cure. Well, now that we've got you to part 3, the final part of the CVED training, we're going to explore some ideas surrounding healthy diet and lifestyle, some exercise ideas, supplementation protocols that exist these days, and also some stress reduction techniques. All in the hopes of empowering you to make the right decisions in terms of giving yourself a really good fighting chance to create the longevity we all deserve in life. Hippocrates said that we should let food be thy medicine. And up until, I guess, the modern day, there was a Hippocratic oath that all modern physicians had to swear to. So some of the things that we're going to talk about include the benefits of a whole foods diet. And this is something that there's mountains and mountains of science and documentation behind just how powerful and healing whole foods can be if we incorporate them. This doesn't mean you have to take out all the pizza and all the fun stuff. It just means we need to add things in and then hopefully in time crowd some of the bad stuff out. I mean, this is supposed to be something that's pleasurable and, of course, not stressful. I mean, stress is what really causes and aggravates a lot of what happens in terms of what heart disease and the root cause of what heart disease is stress related for the most part. So, I mean, we have things like oranges we're going to look at, and kale and garlic and red wine, dark chocolate, lentils, almonds. And those are just some of those things. I mean, this is not exactly a comprehensive list, but with very little research and, of course, having access to ourselves as well as holistic nutritionists and naturopathic doctors, there's almost a never-ending amount of support that you can draw upon if you're feeling that you need some extra support and maybe a little bit of hand-holding going down that road to better health and wellness. So let's talk a little bit about oranges here. I mean, besides the obvious, people are really familiar with vitamin C and the fact that they're delicious. Well, vitamin C actually helps to produce collagen, so that very abundant protein in the body that makes the arteries elastic, which in turn heals, strengthens, and protects the arteries, particularly against potential danger posed by a circulating lipoprotein known as LPA. LPA binds to injured blood vessels, rapidly delivering the cholesterol needed to regenerate the cell wall. Of course, this is how atherosclerotic plaque is formed. As you can see here in the slide, pectin is a soluble fiber that acts like a giant sponge. It stops up cholesterol in food and blocks its absorption, just like bile acid sequestrants. Now, citrus pectin it helps neutralize a protein called galactin-3, which causes scarring of the heart tissue. And potassium, which is an electrolyte, helps counterbalance sodium, also an electrolyte, keeping blood pressure under control. So, of course, oranges, is a very easy and convenient way to take with you to work and along with you on the road. So it's something to really take a closer look at and try to incorporate more of into your diet. Recently, kale's kind of come into the spotlight as people calling, a superfood, even though I just believe food is a food, no matter how super you want to call it. There's a lot to be gained from eating kale, though, and a reason why people do refer to it as that. And maybe even a good reason to invest in a blender, as it goes really well to top up smoothies with and really make your meals a lot more nutrient dense. So kale's actually really been touted as a great way to prevent atherosclerosis from a whole foods perspective, just because we've got a lot of heart healthy antioxidants, omega-3s, fiber, folate, potassium, and vitamin E. It's also rich in lutein, protecting against atherosclerosis. And it's got an unusual compound, glucoraphanin, which activates a special protective protein called NRF2, keeping plaque from adhering to artery walls. So almost like nitric oxide, where it creates almost like a Teflon-like coating in the arterial lining. So even when your cholesterol is high, which of course a whole foods diet will also address in a lot of ways, it really has nothing to stick to. We really recommend people do their research, and of course, if time allows, pick up Joel Fuhrman's book. He's an MD with a lot of really good stuff to say. His book, Eat to Live, He's got a lot of great stuff on how to reverse heart disease and prevent deaths from heart attack and strokes by approaching things from a whole food perspective. Now, most people are familiar with Heather Locklear because she pretty much seems like she never ages. But not a lot of people have heard that people on set with her are always saying she smells like garlic. Well, probably for the reason that garlic has a wide range of well-documented effects, including helping to lower blood pressure. There are plenty of studies you can look up that substantiate these claims, but eating as little as 1 to 4 cloves of fresh garlic a day can have a significant impact on your heart and arterial health. All of the beneficial effects of garlic are attributed to its sulfur-containing compounds: allicin, diallyl disulfide, diallyl trisulfide, and others. Allicin is mainly responsible for the pungent odor of garlic. It's formed by the action of the enzyme alliinase on the compound alliin. The enzyme is activated by heat, oxygen, or water. This accounts for the fact that cooked garlic, odorless supplements, or aged garlic preparations, and garlic oil products produce neither as strong an odor as raw garlic, nor nearly as powerful medicinal effects as raw garlic, with the exception of an alkalized garlic supplement manufactured by the company AOR. So if you don't want to chomp on raw garlic, that's most definitely an option to consider. Garlic should be recognized for its life-saving attributes. Aged garlic extract reduces dangerous plaque buildup in the arteries, and according to a study from LA Biomedical Research Institute at Harbor, UCLA Medical Center, garlic actually helps prevent the progression of heart disease, which, as we've covered, is the leading cause of death worldwide. The study involved 55 patients between the ages of 40 and 75, each of whom are diagnosed with metabolic syndrome. The participants were screened at the beginning of the study to measure their total coronary plaque volume. Their dense calcium, non-calcified plaque, and low attenuation plaque were also screened. The screenings were conducted through cardiac computed tomography angiography, so CCTA, an imaging technology that measures deposits and built-up plaque in the arteries. After being evaluated, the participants were either given a placebo or a dose of 2,400 milligrams of aged garlic extract each day. 1 year later, a follow-up screening was conducted. The study determined those who had taken aged garlic extract had slowed the total plaque accumulation by 80%. Furthermore, they reduced soft plaque and demonstrated regression for low attenuation plaque. This has led us, as well as many scientists, to conclude that aged garlic extract can help slow the progression of atherosclerosis and reverse the early stages of heart disease. This study was published in the Journal of Nutrition, and the findings also fall in line with a study done recently from the University of Missouri. Somewhat kind of recently, people have been thinking that red wine, because of its resveratrol content, it's getting a little bit of attention in the media as some kind of license to drink more wine because it's beneficial for your health. Well, everything in moderation, of course, and in order to get the health benefits from the active ingredient, you'd have to drink about 16 bottles a day. And of course, anything over a glass a day of wine is going to have a negative consequence due to the alcohol because, well, alcohol nudges up the high-density lipoprotein. Resveratrol is actually a polyphenol, and that's a compound that's found in various berries and herbs that has a number of benefits for heart health and also immunity and inflammation. Its role in cardiovascular health involves reducing cholesterol and triglycerides, so widening blood vessels to lower blood pressure and reducing platelet aggregation to lower the risk of plaque formation. It can also reduce the incidence of strokes and heart attacks. Resveratrol acts as an antioxidant to interfere with free radicals that oxidize LDL, or low-density lipoprotein particles, which is thought to be the event that initiates arterial hardening. Resveratrol can also decrease the production of signals that create and amplify inflammation. Studies have found that it also fights cancer in vitro at all 3 stages: initiation, promotion, and progression. And one way that it does this is by preventing the production of new blood vessels to feed the tumors. It also blocks enzymes that promote the carcinogenic activity of certain compounds while increasing the activity of enzymes that help to remove toxins and carcinogens from the body. Again, just because we can find polyphenols and resveratrol in wine, it does not give one license to drink more than a glass a day. You can get health benefits from drinking red wine, but it needs to be cleared that, everything in moderation. And of course, polyphenols can be found in numerous substances in larger amounts than in red wine, which is, of course, the actual compound that has the health benefits. Now, dark chocolate is loaded with nutrients that can positively affect your health. It's one of the best sources of antioxidants on the planet. Studies actually show that dark chocolate can improve health and lower the risk of heart disease. It contains a decent amount of soluble fiber, and it's loaded with minerals. A 100-gram bar of dark chocolate with 70 to 85% cacao contains 11 grams of fiber, 67% of the RDA for iron, 58% of the RDA for magnesium, 89% of the RDA for copper, 98% of the RDA for manganese. It also has plenty of potassium, phosphorus, zinc, and selenium. These all important electrolytes for the heart we can't stress enough. The fatty acid profile of cacao and dark chocolate is excellent. The fats are mostly saturated and monounsaturated with small amounts of polyunsaturates. It also contains stimulants like caffeine and theobromine, but it's unlikely to keep you awake at night as the amount of caffeine is very small compared to coffee. Quality dark chocolate is rich in fiber, iron, magnesium, copper, manganese, and a few other minerals. It's worth mentioning that raw, unprocessed cacao beans are among the highest scoring foods that have ever been tested for antioxidants. Dark chocolate is loaded with organic compounds that are biologically active and function as antioxidants. These include polyphenols, flavonols, and catechins, among others. One study showed that cacao and dark chocolate contain more antioxidant activity, polyphenols, and flavonols than other fruits they tested, which included blueberries, acai berries, and cacao and dark chocolate have a wide variety of powerful antioxidants, way more than most other foods. The flavonols in dark chocolate can stimulate the endothelium, the lining of the arteries, to produce nitric oxide, which is a gas. And we can't stress enough the importance of adequate nitric oxide in the diet and body to prevent heart disease, heart attack, and strokes. One of the functions of nitric oxide is to send signals to the arteries to relax, which lowers resistance to blood flow and therefore reduces blood pressure. The bioactive compounds in cacao can improve blood flow in the arteries and cause a small but statistically significant decrease in blood pressure. Consuming dark chocolate can improve several important risk factors for heart disease. In a controlled trial, cacao powder was found to significantly decrease oxidized LDL cholesterol in men. It also increased HDL and lowered total LDL in men with elevated cholesterol. Oxidized LDL means that the LDL, or the bad cholesterol, has reacted with free radicals. This makes the LDL particle itself reactive and capable of damaging other tissues, such as the lining of the arteries in your heart. So it makes perfect sense that cacao lowers oxidized LDL. It contains an abundance of powerful antioxidants that do make it into the bloodstream and protect lipoproteins against oxidative damage. Dark chocolate can also reduce insulin resistance, which is another common risk factor for many diseases like heart disease and diabetes. Dark chocolate improves several important risk factors for disease. It lowers the susceptibility of LDL to oxidative damage while increasing HDL and improving insulin sensitivity. The compounds in dark chocolate appear to be highly protective against the oxidation of LDL. In the long term, this could and should cause much less cholesterol to lodge in the arteries, and we should see a lower risk of heart disease over the long term. It turns out that we have several long-term observational studies that show a fairly drastic improvement. In a study of about 470 elderly men, cacao was found to reduce the risk of cardiovascular death by a whopping 50% over a 15-year period. Another study revealed that eating chocolate 2 or more times per week lowered the risk of having calcified plaque in the arteries by 32%. Eating chocolate less frequently had no effect. Yet another study showed that chocolate 5+ times per week lowered the risk of cardiovascular disease by 50%. However, given that we have a biological mechanism, lower blood pressure and oxidized LDL, we find it plausible that regular consumption of dark chocolate can in fact reduce the risk of heart disease. There's considerable evidence that cacao can provide powerful health benefits, being especially protective against cardiovascular disease. But of course, this doesn't mean people should go all out and consume lots of chocolate every day. It's still loaded with calories, and it's easy to overeat on. Maybe have a square or two after dinner and try to really savor them. And be aware that a lot of chocolate on the market is absolutely garbage. You need to choose the quality stuff. Organic, dark chocolate with 70% or higher cacao content. Now, the guys at Companion Whole Foods actually have the best stuff we've ever come across, and there's check marks beside all the feel-good categories, the more conscientious consumers feel are important to them. So I highly recommend checking them out. Just kind of a quick note on the benefits of adding sardines into your diet, because they have among the highest levels of omega-3 fats, which are crucial for heart health, and the good fats that lower harmful triglycerides. Now, triglycerides are a type of fat or a lipid found in your blood, and when you eat, your body converts any calories it doesn't need to use right away into triglycerides. The triglycerides are stored in your fat cells. Later, hormones release triglycerides for energy between meals. If you regularly eat more calories than you burn, particularly easy calories like carbohydrates and fats, you may have high triglycerides. Now, so what we look at is what's considered normal, and a simple blood test can reveal whether your triglycerides fall into a healthy range. Normal is less than 150 milligrams per deciliter, or less than 1.7 millimoles per liter. And borderline high is about 150 to 199. So a high range is 200 to 499, and very high is 500 milligrams per deciliter, or above 5.7 millimoles or above. Your doctor will usually check for high triglycerides as part of a cholesterol test, sometimes called a lipid panel or a lipid profile. And you'll have to fast for 9 to 12 hours before blood can be drawn for an accurate triglyceride measurement. What's the difference between triglycerides and cholesterol? Well, triglycerides and cholesterol are separate types of lipids that circulate in your blood. Triglycerides store unused calories and provide your body with energy, and cholesterol is used to build cells and certain hormones. Because triglycerides and cholesterol can't dissolve in blood, they circulate throughout your body with the help of proteins that transport the lipids. And these, of course, are known as lipoproteins. I'd like to try to consider getting more lentils into your diet. There's just a mountain of evidence that lentils are good for cardiovascular health and reduce blood pressure. There was an international study followed about 12,800 people in the US, Japan, and 6 European countries for 25 years to actually substantiate these claims. The results are that legumes such as lentils were associated with an 82% reduction in the risk of death from heart disease. It's a lean vegetable protein that contains a ton of fiber, folate, magnesium, potassium, again, those electrolytes that are so crucial for keeping a regular heartbeat. Now, magnesium just happens to be nature's own calcium channel blocker, so it needs to be looked at in much more depth for people who are concerned about their heart health. And of course, potassium, crucial for counterbalancing sodium to keep blood pressure under control. Again, one of those really simple things we can do for our health from a whole foods perspective in considering a holistic health approach to preventing heart disease and heart attack and stroke is to consider getting about a handful of almonds into your diet every week. Follow up on David Jenkins, MD, and we can see that the importance of plant sterols in almonds reduce the absorption of cholesterol from the diet, and the unsaturated oils encourage liver to make less low-density lipoprotein. So when given a vegetarian diet, including almonds and lentils, eggplant, and soy, for a month, low-density lipoprotein reductions of 28.6%. That's comparable to those on 20 milligrams of lovastatin. So just 22 almonds a day will do. And another study showed declines in fatal arrhythmias with just 2 servings of nuts per week. So again, another very simple approach to help lessen the incidence of heart attack, stroke, and sudden cardiac death. Another unique yet more commonplace now than used to be fruit is pomegranate. And what they looked at, pomegranate actually activates an enzyme that breaks down oxidized cholesterol. And as we've learned before, oxidation seems to be the key to a lot of the issues that aggravate and promote the development of heart disease, atherosclerosis, and plaque buildup. Because oxidized LDL gets stuck in the arterial walls, that initiates the plaque formation. And of course, calcification in the arteries is the main indicator of what causes these strokes and these heart attacks and kills more people than anything. Michael Abraham found that the unique antioxidants in pomegranates not only blocked progression of plaque, but reversed some of the buildup as well when patients drank 8 ounces a day for a year. So we got to look for these fruit-covered seeds in the cups and start really considering just how simple and powerful adding something like pomegranate juice into your diet can be. So I wanted to touch on really quick some of the other foods that you can consider adding into your diet that are very beneficial, not only for your heart health, but overall for your homeostasis and your well-being. Cayenne pepper, which is loaded with antioxidants, makes things extra delicious as well. Spinach, which is extremely high in nitrate, and nitrate again converts to nitric oxide in the body through an oxygen reductive pathway. It's one of 2 plant sources of CoQ10 that's vital for muscle and heart health. And of course, it's really high in potassium, folate, calcium, lutein, betaine. Blueberries, the blue color, from powerful anthocyanins. They got lots of fiber and vitamin C, and of course, they're delicious. Easy to add to smoothies. You freeze them, makes everything just that much better. Salmon, extremely high in this very healthy essential fatty acid omega-3. And of course, it's one of the best, cleanest sources of protein, as long as they're not farmed salmon. Make sure that they have to be high quality caught fish. Of course, legumes and beans, full of protein, fat-free, loaded with fiber, iron, calcium, potassium. Oats, eating oats for breakfast, get a good source of B vitamins and minerals. Broccoli, which has vitamin C, vitamin E, calcium, folate, fiber, beta-carotene, and CoQ10, which is great for the heart. Asparagus with the folic acid, vitamin C, potassium, beta-carotene. Flaxseed oil, ground flaxseed, put it into your yogurt, put it onto your oatmeal, put it into your cereal. Loads of fiber, omega-3s. And sweet potatoes, beta-carotene, fiber, vitamin A, C, and E, all very important components of what we need in the diet. And for those people who are on the road and rushed and feel like they can't get these easy sources of food, all we can say is, listen, plan ahead for your days, plan ahead for the weeks. Make sure you have these things on hand and take it with you. There's no shame in taking a bagged lunch. I mean, and we know it's something that kids usually do, but it's even more important for the adults. Now that we're getting up there in age, we need to really take proactive measures for our health and well-being. Now, without getting into too much of what seems like a sales pitch, we need to cover targeted supplementation from a proactive and preventative standpoint. My partner Steve and I have been in the holistic health industry for close to 15 years now. And through that research, we've managed to really streamline and figure out what the most effective supplements are out there, the highest quality, and of course the ones that have been found to work. Most importantly, from a pharmaceutical grade nutraceutical standpoint, it's very important to educate the public as to the different levels of quality that are out there, and of course to arm yourself with the information to make proper purchasing decisions if you decide to go down the supplement route. So we talk about certain things about endothelium-derived nitric oxide from arginine, and of course some of the newer developments and science behind adding citrulline to that as a time delay. The importance of electrolytes, which we've covered pretty much in depth as to what really governs the electrical output of the heart, how the heart creates its own electricity. Antioxidants as a very crucial component to keeping the oxidation that happens within the body to a minimum and to deal with those free radicals that are produced by the nitric oxide that we should be getting on a daily basis. So we also cover how important it is to get an anti-inflammatory, an effective anti-inflammatory, of course not from a pharmaceutical perspective, and things like vitamin D3, K2, and a B complexes. So we're always open for consultation, for people to ask questions, to get a hold of us through email, by phone, or otherwise. And let's just get into some of what we believe to be the most effective trio that research has shown, and of course, where the science is, that's where I like to go. Now, what I've found throughout the years and doing plenty of research is that AOR is actually one of the best companies out there in terms of nutraceutical formulator. And of course, it's unfortunate that I can only count really on one hand just what kind of companies are out there that I find to be reputable in terms of quality and effectiveness in products. And the one thing that we need to talk about first and foremost is the absolute importance of getting an anti-inflammatory into your diet and your supplement regimen. Now, this curcumin, it's basically a patented formula from the guys out in UCLA that's clinically proven for its bioavailability and for fast-acting relief of pain and inflammation. Now, turmeric is kind of like big on hype, and I'm sure most people have heard of it by now and are putting it in their smoothies and that sort of thing. But it contains very little of the active molecule that has the medicinal component that relieves pain and inflammation. So these guys are pretty innovative in what they're putting out there, and what I like about the company is that they got the science to back it all up. So the truth about other turmeric and curcumin that's out there, well, turmeric root contains several curcuminoids, and curcumin is the most powerful of them all. Unfortunately, turmeric root extracts contain less than 2% curcumin, and even a 95% curcumin extract has such poor bioavailability absorption that it's only effective in like massive doses, and most curcumin does not even provide a 95% curcumin extract. There has been a lot of research over the last 10 years to develop formulations that can deliver more of that active component, and curcumin active from AOR is based on results of extensive research, and it's probably the most highly absorbable and effective curcumin supplement out there, with the latest research kind of showing a greater than 100-fold increase in bioavailability compared to traditional curcumin supplements, which means just taking one capsule a day can deliver an effective dose of curcumin. And that's the equivalent of over 13 grams or over 30 capsules of a 95% extract. So it's pretty impressive stuff. And in terms of an anti-inflammatory, probably the best thing I've ever come across. So highly recommended, which is part of the Healthy Heart Trio that we've put together over years and years of research. When having any discussion about targeted supplementation in regards to heart disease and the development of atherosclerosis, it's very important to cover antioxidants, and of course getting the right amount in the right forms absolutely is critical, because these antioxidants, when they bump up against a free radical, and they don't really eliminate them, they actually neutralize them so that they become a lesser radical, so they don't do any harm. And of course, that's a much better way for your body to deal with them. So these radicalized antioxidants, these neutralized antioxidants, they can do long-term harm if they aren't properly dealt with. Now, the most well-studied example of this phenomenon is called tocopherol-mediated peroxidation, or TMP, in which the vitamin E family members block an incoming free radical from attacking a particle of LDL, or that bad cholesterol. Then this radicalized antioxidant initiates a slower, more insidious pattern of lipid peroxidation. And several studies suggest that TMP may play a devastating role in the long-term development of atherosclerosis. So these antioxidants actually have a network of different antioxidants that, when taken together, these specifically form a dynamic team of synergistic co-antioxidants. And there's exactly 5 of those networking antioxidants: R plus lipoic acid, all 8 vitamin E in the vitamin E complex, which are including 4 tocopherols and 4 tocotrienols, vitamin C, CoQ10, and glutathione. Now, the cycle is ultimately kept going thanks to the R plus lipoic acid in the body's energy production cycle. So for this antioxidant network to work optimally, it's critical to ensure that the lipoic acid supplement is in the form of R plus lipoic acid. And supplements out there labeled alpha lipoic acid or simply lipoic acid contain up to 50% of its antonomer, so S-lipoic acid. It's an unnatural molecule that hinders the ability of mitochondria to charge up our lipoic acid into DHLA. As a result, the S-minus lipoic acid in conventional lipoic acid supplements actually interferes with the recycling activity of the networking antioxidants. However, a few antioxidants do play a supporting role to the networking antioxidants without fully participating in the network itself, the recycling system. And the best understood of these network boosters are bioflavonoids and the mineral selenium. And among bioflavonoids, carnosic acid, which is found in the herb rosemary, is especially interesting because of its ability to repeatedly rearrange itself into a cascade of new antioxidant booster forms before being exhausted. Selenium supports the network by maintaining the body's supply of 2 key enzymes, glutathione peroxidase and thyrodoxine reductase. So you want to make sure that you're getting the complete antioxidant synergy and that network, which includes, of course, in this formula is resveratrol and selenomethionine. Those are the proven boosters of the network itself. And that's actually the path to cellular sustainability and a crucial part of the trio that we recommend of anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and nitric oxide. Of course, we have to cover again the importance of electrolytes and how they moderate and are responsible for the electrical output of the heart. The heart uses minerals to create its own electricity, and it does that by using electrolytes. So, of course, you can take a mineral formula like this one here from Douglas Labs, or even more convenient is get something like a little squirt bottle. You could just shoot it into your water and make sure you're getting your minerals in the water, because your cardiac cells, well, they need them. Now, by far the most important thing I'm going to cover is getting nitric oxide supplementation. And of course, Louis Ignarro, one of the 3 Nobel Prize winning scientists in medicine, discovered nitric oxide molecule and what it does in the body. So I'll just leave it to Nathan Bryan to talk about what I found to be one of the best formulas. It uses nitrate and citrulline to produce nitric oxide in the body, and you can see for yourself.
I'm a professor of molecular medicine at the University of Texas Medical School in Houston. The technology we've developed and now patented through the university is commercialized by Neogenis Labs, a company we founded based out of Austin, Texas. The product we've developed is called Neo 40. It's patented technology that delivers nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is probably one of the most important molecules produced within our body. It's responsible for regulating blood flow, blood pressure. It's produced by our white blood cells in the immune system to fight off infections, and it's a neurotransmitter in the central nervous system. And so as we age, we lose our ability to generate nitric oxide. And it's thought, or a lot of clinical evidence suggests, that loss of nitric oxide function and production is associated with all cardiovascular risk. So developing technology to store nitric oxide will have a huge effect on preventive cardiology. What we've been able to do is create a system for delivering nitric oxide acutely. The delivery system is a single lozenge that you put in your mouth. It'll dissolve within 4 to 5 minutes, and during that resident time in the mouth, it's generating nitric oxide gas. And we can see acute effects from that release through dilation of blood vessels, arteries. We can image that through ultrasound technology, thermographic technology. And the second part of the technology actually promotes nitric oxide production through the endothelium. So we have data to suggest that 2 weeks on our product, we see an increase in endothelial production of nitric oxide. The distinguishing factor about our technology is it's not L-arginine based. The problem with people with endothelial dysfunction is the inability to convert L-arginine to nitric oxide. What we've discovered is a way to overcome endothelial dysfunction, provide an exogenous source of NO, and restore normal endothelial function over time. And then with our nitric oxide Neo 40 lozenge, we can provide a solution for nitric oxide deficiency. We have a number of published clinical trials, basic science publications that are in the peer-reviewed literature. And we also have a book called The Nitric Oxide Solution.
Now, normally these supplements would actually be pretty expensive to go to the store and buy them separately. So we actually approached a company in Surrey called Yes Wellness, and they love what we're doing. So they got us this landing page and have made bundles. So you can get our recommendations for a lot lower of a price or investment, and they'll ship it for free right to you. So if you are considering doing supplementation for prevention of heart attack and stroke, which of course, we highly recommend, sometimes it's just too hard to get healthy just from a whole foods perspective, and check them out, and they'll ship you anything free over $59. We all hear about how important it is to get exercise on a daily basis. And of course, the health benefits are just too numerous to mention. And for a lot of people, it's really hard to get out there every day, even though, we do live in Vancouver, where I'm recording this right now, and there's plenty of beautiful scenery and mountains to climb. Now, to try to get in a daily routine of 30 minutes to an hour of walking a day is unfeasible to a lot of busy people. So we actually have a different, much more effective way of getting highly effective workout routine in only a few times a week. There's something that I came across many years ago called surge training. And well, what is surge training exactly? It's also referred to as burst training, and it's when you perform a series of surges in your workout, followed by the same period of rest. During each surge, you're pushing your body to its maximum potential, then resting for the same duration you perform the exercise. So how do you start? Well, first, you got to warm your body up with some gentle stretches, maybe a brisk walk or a few basic yoga poses. And once you're ready, choose an exercise. And some ideas could be hiking up the mountain, running, biking, using an elliptical machine or a treadmill, swimming, running in place, or even jumping rope. You can be as creative as you'd like. The idea is to just move and use maximum effort for every second of the surge. Now, you want to perform each surge by following the routine that I'm going to list and repeat it 3 times. Essentially, you do 10 to 30 seconds of high-intensity surge movement, 10 to 30 seconds of recovery or rest or low-intensity movement, 10 to 30 seconds of high-intensity surge movement, 10 to 30 seconds of recovery or low-intensity movement, 10 to 30 seconds of high-intensity surge movement, and then 2 minutes of recovery or low-intensity movement. So maybe just shaking your legs or kind of walking in place. And this should be done 3 times per week, which actually amounts to only 12 minutes of exercise a week. Yeah, so we can all handle 12 minutes a week. And the interval times can actually be up to 60 seconds depending on your athletic ability. And the number of surges can be increased for the more advanced athletes as well. So what are the benefits of surge training? Well, when you surge train, you're elevating your heart rate and working it to its maximum. Oxygen's rapidly pumping through your body in larger amounts, which helps you burn fat in higher quantities and much more efficiently. Even when you're resting your body, it'll continue to burn fat and build muscle. The Center for Disease Control and the American College of Sports Medicine concluded that in 1995, intermittent short surges of accumulated exercise increases the body's anaerobic capacity by 28% and increases its oxygen intake. And using surge training for weight loss relies on scientific proof to bring you the maximized results with targeted effort to drop pounds and inches and to gain a better quality of life. I think it's also important to note that when you do like a side-by-side comparison of a sprinter or someone who actually does interval training at their maximum capacity and then the long duration sort of medium intensity marathon runner, and you can just tell by looking at them, you know, there's quite a difference in muscle structure and muscle gains. And that's actually due to the fact that when you do burst training, you actually release human growth hormone and you're building muscle. And when you do medium intensity, long duration exercise, you're releasing plenty of the inflammatory stress hormone cortisol, but not getting any of the benefits of the HGH. And also pretty important to note that, you know, the person who actually made jogging kind of a fad, he also died from a heart attack too. So really food for thought on that one. Well, to wrap things up, and we're going to leave the most important part for last, is talking about the importance of decompressing and how stress relates to heart disease. And why is stress so important and misunderstood? Well, 50% of heart attack victims had normal cholesterol levels. Anxiety and depression actually double the risk of a first heart attack and quadruples the risk for a repeat heart attack. Hostility and anger raises the risk of a heart attack by 29% and by 60% in people under 60 years old. Things like childhood trauma raises risk of a heart attack by 30 to 70%. Well, why does this happen? Well, negative emotions affect the autonomic nervous system, which in turn affects all the organs. Depression, anger, hostility, they increase C-reactive protein, which is a blood marker for inflammation. Stress cardiomyopathy, or broken heart syndrome, caused from a major shock, well, what happens is people had 30 times the normal level of adrenaline, which is 4 to 5 times higher than people actually having a heart attack. And this huge dose of hormone disrupts the way the heart cells take up calcium, which affects the way the heart contracts. Now, the causes of stress are, well, really, there are many. I mean, it could be excessive coffee intake, a lack of sleep, maybe you're a perfectionist or a workaholic. Death of a family member is extremely traumatic. Joblessness, even childbirth. Now, the stress-related diseases are actually even longer than the list of the causes. There's cardiovascular diseases such as tachycardia or myocardiac infarction, which is a heart attack, arrhythmias, gastrointestinal problems, vomiting, diarrhea, ulcer, constipation, respiratory issues, coughing, asthma, muscular issues, muscle pain, fibromyalgia, endocrine disorders, diabetes, obesity, thyroid disease, and neurological disorders, migraines, headaches, chronic fatigue, dermatological like hyperhidrosis. And of course, overcoming stress is one of the most important things you can do for yourself, and practice regularly. Get some relaxing hobbies, engage in regular physical exercise, have healthy meals at regular times, refrain from smoking, refrain from excessive alcohol consumption, take power naps, consider doing something like floating. And there's this great place on 4th Avenue I've actually been to a bunch of times. They have an amazing space, extremely relaxing. They offer floating, like a sensory deprivation flotation tank. They also have massage and sauna. And consequently, they also have a nutritionist there. So if there's people who need additional care, I would highly recommend going to check it out. They have a beautiful space. So in summary and our overall recommendations, absolutely eat more vegetables and fruits. I mean, come on, there's not a doctor on the planet that's going to tell you don't eat your salad. And consequently, that's where those dietary nitrates come from, to get you the nitric oxide that you need. Now, drink water often, but not too much. Remember, put those electrolytes in your water or get a multi-mineral supplement. And please exercise. Try to exercise 3 to 5 times a week. And I mean, remember, the surge training, that burst training, that's only like 12 minutes a week. Supplement with nitric oxide. You can get it from many different sources. We recommend Neo 40. So anybody over the age of 40 should absolutely be taking it, never mind. And get the antioxidants and the curcumin as an anti-inflammatory. And remember these balancing factors for health. It's quality over quantity. Absolutely. That's the take-home message that everybody needs to take with them every day. It's always about the quality of life. It's not about more. It's about how deep you connect to the experience and how you can share that with your loved ones. And that about wraps it up for part 3 of the CVED cardiovascular training. I'm glad you guys made it this far, and good luck on taking the test.